Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, now agreeing to permanently dismantle key nuclear facilities and allow full inspection of those sites. President Trump tweeting very early this morning saying this: Kim Jong-un has agreed to allow nuclear inspections subject to final negotiations and to permanently dismantle a test site and launch pad in the presence of international experts. In the meantime, there will be no rocket or nuclear testing. Hero remains to continue being returned home to the United States. Also, North and South Korea will file a joint bid to host the 2032 Olympics. Very exciting! Exclamation point. Here to discuss, Mattie Duppler, a senior fellow at the National Taxpayers Union. Mattie, how do you see this going forward? This is a good development. Will it revive talks that the United States has been having?
Right. Well, that's always the question, right? Which is, with the current developments, when they're always positive on diplomatic terms, what do they mean for facts on the ground? Now, President Trump deserves credit for pursuing peace on the peninsula, and I mean making progress there more so than any of his predecessors. But how does the math there change? You know, one of the big players in the area, of course, is China. As the U.S. and China trade tensions continue to increase, we can't rely on them as a partner in this negotiation. So really, for the Trump administration, what we need to see is some of these leverage points change. North Korea continuing to say that they will come to the table and talk about de-armament. That, of course, is encouraging. But until we see actual facts on the ground change, I would remain just a little bit cautious.
Mattie, hi, it's Jason Chaffetz.
Hi, Jason.
One of the questions, I think, here is how unified is the United States with South Korea? President Moon has taken a very dovish type of approach. Are we really on the same page as South Korea? Are we moving in the same direction?
Well, again, I return to that question of China as the major player in the area. China, of course, wants to see North Korea not become a major superpower there, but at the same time, they have already expressed how they don't want South Korea either to have an American presence or to have a big military presence in the area, because they see South Korea also as a threat. So the South Korea and the United States relationship, of course, has always been very strong, and there's a long history there of the United States supporting South Korea as one of the marginalized entities in the area. So moving forward, Donald Trump should continue to express support for Moon and for his efforts to create peace on the peninsula. Because remember, South Koreans, North Koreans, they still see this as a long-standing conflict that doesn't have resolution here. This is something that continues for the past 50, 60 years. And the United States has, until recently, kind of let the peninsula play that out. So it's good to see, I think, the Trump administration continue to express support for the South Korean people and for the administration there. But like I said, we need to see actual commitments and actual things change on the ground in North Korea for these commitments to become reality.
I want to move on to this. Hillary Clinton still slamming President Trump, this time bemoaning him and his policies as authoritarian threats to democracy. Listen to this.
What I'm worried about is that these authoritarian tendencies that we have seen at work in this administration with this president, left unchecked, could very well result in the erosion of our institutions to an extent that we've never imagined possible here.
Mattie, what in the hell is she talking about?
Dagan, good question. It's amazing to me that someone who has represented the United States on the world stage, who has actually gone across the globe and experienced authoritarian regimes, would come home and argue that our administration seemingly is the worst that she has ever seen. I mean, it really is regrettable that we have someone who has this kind of visibility, who doesn't use that platform to actually espouse the dangers of actual dictators across the world. And of course, we see that in places like Venezuela, across the country, across the globe. In Russia, we have a lot of problems. In China, we have a lot of problems, a lot of humanitarian conflicts there. And the former Secretary of State doesn't seem very anxious to weigh in on those problems, and instead wants to criticize here at home. Simply not helpful, to say the least.
Mattie, Hillary Clinton tweeted yesterday, "I've written a new afterword for what happened, breaking down what we've learned since it was published, how we got here, and how we can heal our body politic." What we've learned since. Now, one of the things that I think is so interesting about that is that I'm not sure what she learned since, because this kind of rhetoric, this kind of language actually mobilizes Trump supporters. It doesn't change minds. To call him an authoritarian, to call him a dictator, to call him a fascist, even if that's what they think. Her objective is to try to get Democrats elected now, to try and change the game. And what she hasn't done, and what the Democrats aren't doing, is laying out a case for why their plan is better for Americans than what's there today.
James, I want to get James in here really quickly. The irony is that people didn't vote for Hillary Clinton because she does not follow the rules and abide by the rule of law. Right. And she's upset about the very reason that, in part, that people didn't vote for her, other than her not being trustworthy and her being not likable.
Authoritarian tendencies, over-the-top rhetoric. But if you're going to go there, it's probably not impolite to point out that there was one candidate in the last election who wanted to rewrite the First Amendment to prevent people from making a documentary about Hillary Clinton. The case is called Citizens United. She supported it. So if we're going to talk about authoritarianism, on the one hand, she sought to limit people's ability to make a documentary film about her.
Yeah.
What has President Trump done? I know a lot of angry words about the media, but what has he actually done to limit our First Amendment freedoms?
Right, and I want to return to this point that was made about how the afterword now, continuing to rewrite the afterword, just demonstrates that Hillary Clinton is exactly the same as all the rest of the Democrats who have not learned their lesson from 2016, which is that they don't get it. They don't understand what the American public wants, because what the American public wants is a vision for the future. Republicans have been able to deliver that midterm after midterm, and then we saw that in 2016, that with whatever the vision was that Hillary Clinton was casting for the United States, voters outright rejected it. So to rewrite the afterword another year, she can rewrite it every year until the cows come home. It's not going to change the fact that Democrats don't have a vision that the American public wants to accept. And I think that as long as Hillary Clinton is out there as the leader of the Democrat Party, Democrats running for Congress and other positions of leadership are in big trouble.
Mattie, good to see you. Thank you so much. We covered a lot of ground. Mattie Duppler. Coming up, Tesla under the microscope, why the Justice Department is now investigating the electric